Stephen Mansfield, New York Times bestselling author and speaker.
Doug Tenaple, I'm the creator of Earthworm Jim.
Wheat Grooves.
I'm Victor Dweck.
Joseph Carter, I'm the Mink Man.
This is Dave Baker from Forged in Fire.
This is Leanne Morgan. I'm a comedian, and this is why you should never
Not ever.
Don't waste your time.
Oh, you really shouldn't.
listen to those darling, yummy Reverend and the Reprobate.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Reverend and the Reprobate podcast. I am Lucas Pinkert. I'll be the Reverend this week. Along with me, as always, my trusty partner in crime and vittles. It's Stanley Gibson, the Retrobate.
Good word on vittles.
Thank you very much. I was recalling conversations that I had with a man formerly known as the Human Giant, Barry Hanley. Do you remember? Did you ever work with Barry when we were on Team Impact?
Yes and no.
Barry was 6'8" and 400 pounds, and he had his head when he played football at Indiana State University. Oh, no, he was just at Indiana University. When he played football at Indiana University, they had to custom order his helmet because his head was a 9 3/4. It was a bigger helmet than Riddell had ever made. And so they had to custom order Barry's helmet. And it took 4 guys with walkie-talkies to cut Barry's hair. It was just the most tremendous melon. But whenever we were out, he was like, oh, boy, we got to go get some snacks. It's time to go get some vittles. And
I do remember the snacks.
And that was why they stopped letting us
that was the money,
carry
right?
petty cash.
Yeah.
Because Barry would use the petty cash on pork rinds and Diet Pepsi whenever we would go out. But that's not why we're here today. Today, Danley, we have the Sunday school teacher and the ex-con are both here with us this evening as we celebrate Mother's Day.
I don't know which one of them is going to get you, but
you know
it's
what?
coming.
You get so, like, you talk such a big game when we're on with our guests, but your mom enters the room and all of a sudden you're like, don't beat me up. I've heard stories from the yard. So with us today are our wonderful, fabulous moms, the ladies that birthed us.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with my mom because she's doing things.
I'm trying to give you some.
And I just want to, put her on the spot.
Hey, my wife Heather Gibson put together this beautiful
charcuterie board.
and chocolate.
In some of the bonus content, you'll get to see our
dad.
No, we'll get to see Kale bring us out because we started this episode about 30 minutes ago, and then we ran into the same issue that we've run into several times where the disc is running too slow to keep up with us because we're just too quick-witted.
Yeah.
That's not it.
That's I was waiting for somebody to say that wasn't it.
I'm not going to disagree.
So to my left, to your right, if you're watching on your television screens, just to the right of your dial, is my lovely, fabulous, wonderful mom, Tammy Pinkert, the lady that birthed me. And then, Danley, if you'll introduce us to this doll.
And we have Majan Gibson sitting next to me. She's also the fabulously wonderful, talented, especially with cooking.
Oh, yeah?
She makes some good food.
Yep.
I mean, all of our friends were over at our house growing up all the time.
I
actually
remember
have a question about
chicken
that.
cordon bleu.
I do have a question on how much money do you think you spent on food feeding the 15 people at our house all the time?
Yeah, it was quite a bit.
Yeah.
It was quite a bit.
Now I know, because when I go buy one box of chicken cordon bleu, I'm like, that was like $12 for
Yeah.
It's like $5 or $6. And we would just crush that in an afternoon.
Yeah.
It makes me...
Just like the beer can, we take the chicken cordon bleu box and just mash it on our heads and throw it in the trash.
I no
That wasn't
longer
a good
wonder why we had so many hot dogs growing up. Because that was the cheapest way to feed all the kids in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Was, all right, you can put these in the microwave for 30 seconds, but if they explode, you need to clean this out. And then that's what we would do. So you could feed the whole neighborhood with like 2 packs of hot dogs for all the kids that were coming in and out of the house. But try to do something more than that now. It also makes me wonder if that's why the birth rate is down, because so many people have gone organic. They're like, you know what?
We can't afford
it. It is $5 for a dozen eggs. There, you are not having any friends over tonight. We're only having one kid because that's all we can afford to feed.
It's like one kid.
Yeah, these almonds aren't going to milk themselves.
Yeah.
So
we did a lot of casseroles.
Yeah.
Chicken spaghetti.
Ooh, chicken spaghetti was good. You used to make
Chicken
a casserole
spaghetti.
that was like, it was chicken and then it was like the garlic cheese. That was one of my favorite dishes growing up. You should teach that to Kirsten.
Okay.
Thank you. So, Majan, hopping into this interview, let's just go full bore ahead. Now, We do want to talk about early on how we did use a little bit of trickery. Thank you for chewing into the microphone for our audio audience, for our fans of AMSR. This is Danley eating cheese.
And pear.
And pear, fantastic. We used a little bit of trickery to get y'all on because we were fairly certain that, unlike with our dads, who were both like, yeah, fine, whatever, our moms felt very much like, is the other mom coming on? Did Tammy say yes? Did Machen say yes? So we went in with the assumptive close, preparing that the other person was going to seal the deal. We went ahead and said, yes, the other mom has already said yes, she's going to go.
I think they already figured it out pretty well.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
That they were managed, not tricked.
Yeah, they were managed.
Yeah, they were managed into, hey, we really want both of you on for Mother's Day to honor you and have some fun and also maybe make me cry about stories from growing up that that I may not want to tell, but I'm prepared.
Secrets shall be revealed. Your mom brought a whole bag of stuff.
I want to get into that bag. Or do I?
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's sketchy.
You might be blocked on YouTube.
Speaking of which.
That's
later.
Yeah, strike one. We'll get to strike one here in just a second. Major, when did you first meet Danley?
Face-to-face was June 1985.
Was it everything you imagined?
It was more than I imagined. It was a tough delivery. What
was it? I didn't want to come out, or
I'm not sure. You just wouldn't drop.
Was your head?
Yeah, probably. 45 hours.
Yeah.
45 hours labor.
Oh, man.
Here you go. You deserve some more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. More apple cider. But, once you hold them, this. Once you hold them, it's just, I was always overwhelmed with, I want 100 of these. And then the next day it hit 114 degrees.
Wow.
So.
Nice. And then you were like, you know what? One's enough. This baby's way too hot for me to hold 100 of these.
Yeah. I just about lost it on the drive home because he was in the back seat and he was crying.
Yeah.
And I just,
always
pull
over.
Well, only when you're in the back seat.
I'm always crying in the back seat or throwing up.
Oh. Yeah. What? Did you get car sick
as a kid? It's a story from my granny that she took me to go get ice cream and I threw up in the back of her new Lexus.
I think one of your aunts took you to get ice cream and then handed you over to her.
Yeah, maybe that was it. Either way, I know it ended in throwing up in Granny's new car because she tells me that semi-regularly.
Oh, that stinks.
Yeah.
Mom, when did we first meet?
So I will hit on her face to face in November of '85, but you were extremely active, little baby, so we knew each other very well long before.
Well, I've become so lethargic
was he
since
just being
then.
a jerk?
He was just very active, especially whenever it was time to go to sleep, because for some reason that was just no kicking.
Doing lunges.
He was a kicker.
You've seen The Nightmare Before Christmas, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was like in the womb. What's this? What's this?
Yes. My husband, Scott, used to say, can you just move over a little bit because he's kicking me too.
Yeah, because Dad needed sleep. He didn't have time for freaking baby. What's this? What's this? There's plasma. No, we won't go there. So we were both y'all's first kids. What was that like?
At least as far as where we know.
Yeah.
There may be like some
sort of
hidden brother out there somewhere.
Sorted baby that was No, we won't go there. So we were y'all's first kids. What was that life change like? Because we share in common the uniqueness that as we're celebrating Mother's Day, we're the ones that made you guys moms.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. So, but you both had to wait until 1986 to celebrate your first Mother's Day. So what was that like on your first Mother's Day and being here with your two boys that made you moms?
Do you want to go first?
Is this, real quick, is this your 35th Mother's Day?
We actually celebrated when I was pregnant. The people in the church were saying, you're a mother too, even though...
That's right.
So
Just
that
because
would be...
you weren't hatched didn't mean that we weren't already taking care of you.
I didn't know that Danley was hatched. Boy, this is a recent development.
Are you surprised?
Like, was I think the basilisk?
Or the drummer from Spinal Tap?
Spinal Tap, yeah, it was hatched.
It's more like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So did you wait until 86? Because you would have been... Did you guys know that you were pregnant with me in May of 85? Was that kind of technology around then?
So there was that our first baby, we actually miscarried. So she beat us home to go live with Jesus. But we were not supposed to get pregnant with you, and we were supposed to wait 3 months. And though we tried so many different things, God just was ready for you to come. So I just remember praying a lot before you were born because I had a sketchy relationship with my husband's, with Scott's dad. And the reason is because it took me a long time to figure it out, but he really did not, he and I were really close until we got married. And then once we got married, there became a wall and I couldn't figure it out. And then he finally told me one day, like, he missed having him around and he didn't want to see him go. So he wanted us to live with him forever, and that just wasn't going to work. So
so you stole his baby.
So, right.
Yeah.
And he is the baby. Like, he's the youngest of 5. And so they had him in their later years. So they actually had babies the whole, pretty much the whole time they were married.
So did you technically rob the cradle?
Listen, Danley. He is 9 months younger than I am. And
That's
technically, no, the cradle just ran after me because there were That's
good.
There were a lot of girls running after Scott that just really got my goat. And I was just like, oh man, you're an irritant. So, no.
That's also how I met my wife, was being an irritant.
And he's blonde-headed and blue-eyed, and that was the thing.
He's a little cutie.
I would not date blonde-hair, blue-eyed guys.
She didn't want anybody blonde, anybody younger than her, or anybody shorter than her, and Dad was the trifecta.
Hey, I'm here.
Then along came Willow, and he was just like...
Seriously. I always said, I will not date a blonde. And then
you threw an acorn.
God's sense of humor made the house full of blondes.
How'd that drawing the line in the sand with God work out for you?
It didn't work out at all. But he knew better, because the tall, dark, and handsome that I had chosen was just not what we needed at all.
No.
Well, I'm glad you ended up with Scott. I like Scott.
Me too.
I like him. I like your other kids too.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And
me
I like
too.
you.
Oh, thanks. Even though my hair's not yellow?
No.
Yeah, Danley prefers blondes. Just ask Heather every other week.
She does bring it up. He likes blonde hair. Yep. I do like blonde hair, but I also like her hair.
Yeah, her hair's great.
Her hair's the hair I married.
Anybody else want to throw out a bear trap before Danley proceeds?
Okay, go ahead.
So, did I answer your question?
Ish. Yeah, that's fine. We're on with guests all the time that don't answer our questions. We're professionals.
I expect a lot of my questions not to get answered.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that I didn't finish. So going back to the sketchy relationship that I had with Scott's dad is I just prayed that the Lord would use you, because he was a really gruff kind of person at that time, and I really didn't know how to deal with that. And so I wanted to respect and honor him because they raised my husband and I loved him. And I prayed that the Lord would use you in a way that would help bring him to the Lord, and he did.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I was very blessed to get to have a great relationship with Granddaddy. So, and when I got my appendix taken out, he bought me a Game Boy Color. He came to the hospital, and I was like totally out of it because I'd just gotten out of surgery. And he was like, what do you want? Do you want water? Do you want, something to eat?
I want Kirby.
I was like half awake, and I was like, I want a Game Boy Color with Pokemon. And then I passed back out. Well, when I woke up, I had a Game Boy Color with Pokemon Yellow, right there by the bedside. Because, he was asking me whether or not I needed sustenance, but I half asleep asked for a video game and got it.
It sounds like you shot kind of low.
Yeah, I might have. I want a red Corvette. But it ended up working out. It was pretty awesome. And yeah, your prayer was definitely answered there. What did y'all think whenever we first said that we wanted to start a podcast? Because you guys have known us each for a while, and we want to get into some of that.
And also, we've had a few harebrained ideas.
Yes.
That we've tried and didn't really pan out or whatever.
Yeah.
How many is a few? Exactly.
More than 4, less than 100.
Yeah.
Well, then what's more than 100? Maybe we should go
a few FEW
more.
plus
1 million.
1 million, yeah. So yeah, what did you guys think when we started our podcast, and what have you thought of it so far?
It's been very interesting. Machen and I don't want to just be the one talking, so you go.
I will say I had in mind the few harebrained ideas.
Yeah.
So I remember thinking, okay, well, let's see. But I also knew you two and the fun you had together. So hopeful. I've been quite surprised by some of the guests that you were able to get, some of the ungettable gets.
Yeah.
It's been surprising for us too.
Yeah. I've loved the comedians. Several of them, I've just been so touched by their boldness, like you had mentioned at one point. And that you're able to, the first one I saw, it was, okay, they had fun, but the gospel was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The gospel was there, and that was very touching for me.
That wasn't my doing.
But
Well,
very, very proud of you guys.
It was the Lord's. I'm just playing.
Well, initially we had a lot of those conversations about like what do we want to be? You know, is this something that we're doing for fun? Is this a Christian podcast? Is it just going to be something where we interview people that we think are interesting? And it's turned out to be, you know, all of those things is y'all's influence on our lives and y'all's thumbprint on our personalities is definitely there, because we can't, as much as we talk to people that are not in the Christian realm, or share a Christian worldview or even interested in it, we still continue to have a good time with them and use it as an opportunity to share the gospel, because you guys ingrained those things in us. And like Danley said, you know, the Lord really worked some things out and given us some cool opportunities. Mom, what were your impressions of the podcast at first?
I mean, it was like listening to y'all in the living room. Y'all are just fun to have around. You have a good time, and you're ornery as ever. And but you had some really, I have appreciated your guests, but I was really looking to see, you know, kind of how you were, because, you know, when y'all were in the band together, you were little booger heads, and then you grow up and you're just like, wow, you
I
have
love
your
that description. Booger
Then they're
heads.
big booger heads.
now you're big booger heads,
big
yes.
booger heads.
But you've
I
grown
think you
into
nailed
you've grown into some, you know, some very fine young men. I'm very proud of both of you, and just the way that you honor your wives and the way that you honor your parents, and it's not just because, you know, there were consequences if you didn't, because there certainly were.
Yeah,
but
to this day.
Yeah, there's still consequences.
Yep.
yes, but it was what I like. What I really like is that it's just you being normal. You know, it's not a show so much. And so when you say, like, you know, God was a part of it, well, of course he is, because he's a part of y'all. Oh, so sorry.
No, you're fine.
It's time for me to give my dog her medicine. So it's like, you know, you can either be a Sunday Christian or it's your lifestyle. And since it's your lifestyle, that's just what you see. So you're not necessarily trying to minister to people and trying to plug Jesus. You're just being you and who you are in love with. So not yourselves, but, you know, Jesus.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're a little
Being
in love
totally,
with ourselves too.
Yeah.
Whenever we're talking about me, it's my favorite topic.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
So I am curious when, you know, because it was the band. That's when we really started hanging out.
Yes.
What were your impressions of the other one? Like, and then this is what we both want to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. So
We were
That was
boogerheads.
such a long time
I
ago.
So
think-
if
Yeah.
that opens up, we're prepared.
yeah, we're prepared.
I have the box of Kleenex over here.
He was a boogerhead.
Not good. Not good.
Hey, no, I don't think I had a bad. He was very active, a little bit hyper, but I didn't. He was nice and still gentlemanly. He did a good job. Yes, but when he met Heather, Heather is the girl of all the girls that not only could I handle being around, because she wasn't just so, you know, she wasn't just like drooling over y'all. She was just very.
I don't remember any girls drooling
Oh
over
my
us.
goodness. I loved not having blonde hair at that time, because people didn't put us together, and I would hear the conversations going on about what they thought. And only a couple of times did I just say, "Excuse me, but that would be my son you're discussing right now, so let's go."
Some of the girls.
Oh man. So some of the, you know, it's like
We were hot.
Yeah.
Those days have long since passed.
So
Now I'm on to charcuterie boards and apple cider.
But one thing that you both did have is, even then, your commitment to the Lord was what impressed me the most. And it still is. Not to say that you weren't booger-headed and still booger-headed at times, but
I
what about you?
probably
What do
will
you think?
always be booger-headed.
That's probably just going to have to be one of the titles. One of the things in the
Boogerhead.
titles, booger-headed. Yeah.
Well, my impression is not so much having to do with you,
Okay.
but it does have to do with you as well.
Oh, well, fantastic. I like the mystery
I'm
here.
intrigued.
Any friend he brought home, we're taught to test the spirits and make sure that we are surrounded by godly wisdom and counsel.
Right.
And you pray that for your kids as well. And you walking in, cute as a button.
you were yummy.
You were yummy.
Still yummy.
Yeah.
And, the heart of a mother is, first of all, keep her child alive.
Right.
And there's more stories about that.
Yeah.
But that they would not be turned aside. So it has to do with you, and it doesn't have to do with you. It had to do with anyone that came in. And then when I met this lady and her commitment and love for the Lord, because there had been friends that you had that were good fakers.
Yeah. I think I know who you're thinking of. We won't say names.
That's okay, Will.
Is it?
Benjamin.
Is he a poser? So meeting you at our house and seeing your love for the Lord and commitment really brought a lot of peace to my heart that maybe he's not a poser. So,
No, he's definitely not.
Yeah.
but
not
I think
anymore.
I think you probably had the same
I
eye of discernment, trying to
You're giving me
Protect
chills
protect
now.
your child.
Absolutely.
Well, I will say, so we did play in a band with two other guys who are solid guys now that they're grown up and married, but there were certain things, even though we were young adults at that point, that if I was going to do something with Danley, that it was like, okay, you and Danley have fun, stay out of trouble, don't get caught or whatever. But if we were going to go do something with the band, my mom was like, do we need to pray first? Like, do we need, what's happening? Then even though she didn't say that was kind of the sentiment, is like, make sure that you remember who you are, that you're behaving yourself, and that you're being a good example, because there were those other influence, not just those guys, but the other groups that we were with, because we did a lot of stuff in some gritty areas. We played in a lot of downtown bars and things like that, and those were not places that, as we were growing up, that you guys hung out at. I don't remember going to the pool hall with my mom, or Danley, I'm sure you threw darts with your mom at some point at some place. So, but those,
Is that a prison joke?
yeah,
Okay.
those
Pictures of you.
but those just weren't the places that we went to with you guys. Those weren't, where y'all hung out at. And so going into bars, playing in clubs and things like that, that was a stretch for y'all as moms, we know, because we have both talked about the conversations that our moms have had with us about, like, okay, you are going into this bar, make sure you remember who you represent and all that stuff. What were y'all's feelings whenever we started to get booked in bigger venues, when we were starting to play bars and clubs, when we were going to not just downtown Dallas, but when we were playing in other downtown areas where things were a little gritty and where you wouldn't have wanted to go, but that your sons were going there? What was that like for y'all as moms?
I would say we probably both needed to get knee pads, because just praying for you. Because those are places where people lose control. And when you are a mom, as Machen said, you want to protect your children. And so when you put them out in the world from the very thing that we've tried to protect you from, like, I came from a family and there were a lot of people that drank. And there were some times that it was like, okay, you got about an hour before they don't withhold the crazy, and they just they've drank too much. So I would take my kids out I didn't want them around that. I grew up around that. I didn't want them around that. So when you said you were going into a bar, I was like, don't leave Jesus at the door. And this was one of the things that I know, like it's I appreciate the fact that you listened to me in that I said you can't be a Sunday Christian. You're either sold out or you're not. You can't just let the world think, oh, that's why so many people just think Christians are fake, because it's not their lifestyle. It's what they, it's kind of like social drinking. You drink with your friends, and you're one way, and then, you go out back and get drunk and you're just crazy. So if you can't live a life that is going to reflect Jesus, it doesn't mean that you're going to be perfect, but it is a great goal. I think that's the biggest thing is, would there be someone there that was, going to be wild and violent, or was there someone there that, was able to walk out the door and no one paid attention that she didn't have enough clothes on to go shower, much less go outside? So I don't, those are the things that, like, I've sent girls home that knocked on our door to come and see my boys, like, no, ma'am, and when you go get dressed, or we can offer you, if you can wear my daughter's clothes, we can offer you some clothes, but that isn't working to come into my house, because boys, I just felt and you have 2 boys too, so you just feel, you have to protect them. Boys they make an excuse for boys to say, what, boys can sleep around because they're boys. No, that's not, I don't agree with that. Jesus didn't do that. So I don't think that it's a gender thing. So it was scary to think of who you were going to come in contact with, whether or not you would set a drink down and somebody would come in and lace it for you with something stupid. So
we did have some friends that happened to along the way, both men and women. So those are, you think about those things, and I think as a young guy, we heard stuff like that and we were like, that's crazy. Nobody's going to come and do this. Yeah, that doesn't really have... You've watched way too much, Criminal Minds or CSI or something like that. This isn't what... Okay, I get it. This season on Bones, that happened to somebody. But those we're looking back, we...
Well, then it would have been like Law and Order.
Yeah. But yeah, those were things that we actually, throughout the years, that had happened to people that we hung out with or that we knew, unfortunately, and... it's weird looking back on it now, thinking about how naive we were about some of those things, especially now that you have a kid. Yeah. Those are the things that we think about when your son goes out.
Makes you crazy, doesn't it?
Yeah, and the protectiveness of a father is, I certainly feel that. But it is so much different than the protective nature of a mother. Like all of the things that you worry about. I mean, it's probably
not always
the
worry.
reason that,
it's more of a, it's not worry. It's concern of what the influence is going to be on them that can pull them away from the one living creation that I want, or not creation, but the Creator. I wanted them to have a close relationship with the Lord. That is the only way to survive here. I don't know how people get up every day without Him. So I didn't want anyone putting their influence on them that could distract them or pull them away. So I was pretty guarded. I will tell you that as a child, apparently I was extremely passive. And pretty much I felt like, right? Pretty much it was like, yeah, whatever. I was just a peacemaker. And my dad, of all people, who just always said, you need to be a fighter and that kind of stuff. And I was like, that just wasn't appealing to me. But after I had Lucas, he just said, you are like a polar bear with really long claws. And that's how it has always been with them. And I know people said that whenever they get older that would go away. They were so wrong. It didn't.
It definitely hasn't. My mom got upset with a Lifeway lady. There was a...
my land.
The look at your face. So when I first became a pastor, Lifeway still had their brick and mortar stores. Mm-hmm. And I went in and I knew that there was a pastoral discount that you could get if you were buying like Bibles for somebody in your congregation or some study guides. Like it didn't work on cards or things like that. But so I went in and I was buying some commentaries. And I told the lady, I was like, I have a pastor card, but I don't have the card with me. Can I give you my phone number? And she's like,
Yeah, this is a scam. I'm in here to
You're a
get
pastor?
Bibles for
It's
cheap.
like, she goes, do you have a business card? It's like, no, I don't have a business card. Hold on just a second. And so I literally, before she would give me the pastoral discount, I had to pull up the website and show her that I was the pastor of the church, because I looked a lot like I do now. And so I told my mom about this, and what happened after I told you the story?
I needed to go get something from Lifeway.
So she did. She went and got something from Lifeway and had a very, just, I'm sure, calm and charming conversation with the store manager.
But also, she understood.
Oh,
She understood you.
We were very clear.
Yeah.
Very, direct to the point. So, yeah.
I mean, who gets to choose what we look like when our Creator made us? We can have longer hair, shorter hair, or a scruffy beard or not, but who gets to
scruffy-looking?
who gets to decide who is going to be able to be the minister for Christ? He does. So, yeah, no.
I just think if
But
you're
we had a
looking
nice
at
conversation.
if somebody that looked like I do, I'm admitting to being a pastor to try to get the discount. I would have given it to them just.
I would have been like, tell me a Bible verse. And you could
Yeah,
like,
I
you'd be
mean-
like 1 Corinthians, like, you're fine.
Yeah, but like
you go.
if I would have seen, if I was working at the retail store and some scruffy looking guys asking for the discount, I'm like, okay, yeah, probably, because my first thought is, well, if he wasn't a pastor, he would have just stolen it. So why why try to rip off the discount?
What's the angle here?
Do you know what it
Obtuse.
helps? It helps to
okay.
it helps me
Acute.
to not be to really be more attentive about judgment, being judgmental toward other people,
That's a good takeaway.
because he had long hair and then the beard.
He
that
probably had his knuckle
God only knows
dusters.
what grows in those things.
He probably rode up
Lives
on a
in those
Harley.
things.
I think I was on my bike whenever I came up.
But they don't know his heart. And that's what I was explaining to her. I said, you see the outside. I see his life, and I know his heart. And I see who he brings to Christ, and that he will go in where we would never go. Because what? Because we think that we're better than them or cleaner than them or whatever. And he would go there and love on them. So who are you to judge? And that has come back to me in my mind several times whenever I see someone and you're just like, who am I to judge?
Yeah.
You're like, boy, this person looks just like my kid. No, it's fine. it's fine.
You did have really long hair.
I did.
And it's blonde, and everybody just, know.
So here's a fun fact about my really long hair now that we're talking about stuff from the band. Did you know that each one of my bandmates at one point in time checked me out? Because they saw me they saw my really long hair and saw me like getting something from the merch table.
Yeah, and you're always wearing those tight jeans.
It was, yeah. When we were touring, I was wearing tight
He was
jeans.
working out. He had a big old booty.
And every
Is that
one
okay
of them,
to say?
Yes, it's fine. Every one of them at some point checked me out, and like other people would come on. We like Joel
Same
and
walk a mile. Lucas.
Joel and
No,
Wes.
no.
Yeah, Joel and Wes, two guys that we brought on that helped with the band. Danley took him aside and was like, "Look,
It was an appropriate sized booty. Okay.
yeah." He just goes, "Look, if you see a long haired blonde by the merch table, he's like, it's Lucas.
Lucas.
Don't stare too long." And one of the guys, like, we saw Wes and Joel and Danley standing in front of the merch table. I'm pulling something out of the back. He's like, "Oh, they just turn around." I turned around and my beard and everything, and Wes just starts cracking up. And Danley's like, I told you, because Joel was checking me out.
Yeah.
So every one of them.
It did happen.
Yeah. This is scary
Did you
stuff.
also know that we wore eyeliner one time to a show?
I did not.
Lucas did not.
I refused.
Is this how you trying to recoup?
So Brandon and Jared wore eyeliner to the show because that was like the thing to do for metal
I
groups.
think it was Disciple was playing. It was a big
Yeah.
show. We were all a little nervous, and
Yeah, so
they wanted to
so they
put on eyeliner.
put on eyeliner so that they'd look more hardcore. Danley also put on eyeliner because I wasn't there yet.
I went with it.
Yeah, and so I show up and they're like, "All right, we're gonna do your eyeliner." I was like, "There's no way." I'm not putting on eyeliner. And I looked at Jared and Brandon, and they were like, "Well, like there's a big
cool.
show and blah
It's
blah."
cool.
And I looked at Danley, and Danley was like, "I just was here and they were putting on eyeliner."
Being peaceful, going with the flow.
Yeah, so that's how he got roped into it.
I'm a performer. It's like,
You are.
Sure, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I'm in.
If this is
I've
what's
worn
necessary.
makeup before.
Yeah.
We've done plays
Yeah.
and
You've worn
at
makeup.
church, and you wear makeup. It's part of it. I wouldn't even be against wearing makeup doing the podcast.
You grew your hair out for a part.
Yep.
Long curly hair.
What part did you grow your hair out
In fact, I might
for?
start wearing makeup because I'm always super white.
Yeah, it's just the way.
It was a shepherd.
It was a shepherd
in a Christmas pageant.
Wow.
And then when he went to the choir at First Baptist, they all thought he'd done prison time.
Just like Mom.
Just like Mom.
You set it up for
I
that.
set you up.
Yeah, well done.
So, I want to know.
Here we go.
What story have you heard or through raising me that you never fully quite bought or that you have questions about? We're getting serious now.
Yeah, we are.
I'm not coming up. I feel like I've heard the story of
I'll tell you one.
of the cops.
Which story of the cops?
Which story?
Yeah.
You tell
There's a
me.
couple stories.
Oh, man.
So there was,
that's
there was
the worst.
One,
This is entrapment.
Well, there was one that I want some not redemption, but to clear the air on.
Was it the-
There was one. We were coming home from youth group or something, and you called me. You said the cops are here. Do you remember that?
I do.
Someone had
stabbed the blow up next door to your current girlfriend.
I did not do that.
I believed you.
But it has always bothered me. I was like, I don't know how the cops found me. Like, somebody must have pointed them to me.
The neighbor did. The neighbor said.
The freaking neighbors.
The neighbor did.
There was another time, too, that I don't think the cops got involved, but someone had burned something in the street outside of that person's house. Mm-hmm. I also did not do that.
Well, there was a fire-related incident, and it wasn't you?
Yes.
Huh.
That one was not me.
Man, we were talking about me going to the principal's office
Yeah.
for my kids.
I have never been to the principal's office.
Well, that's
The
good.
cops have been to the house.
So you think that you've got a good handle? Okay, let me
I
pivot
feel
it.
like I'm being set up. Do you feel
No,
managed?
this is the...
Do you feel managed? Do you get that feeling again of being managed?
Yes, and
Yeah.
this is why they didn't let us have any kind of questions before.
Well, we wanted to know, like,
We're
is
open to
there
questions.
a story that you feel like something that happened, and you're like, you know what? I want to know the real story behind what that is.
And now that we're
I need
adults,
time to think about that.
Yeah. Well, we'll give you guys time to
we can
ruminate.
Move on. We can move on.
Yeah. So what's
Well, wait, did you get yours answered? What you wanted?
She
what
didn't
was-
actually ask a question.
She's okay.
The cops with Jared.
With Jared.
Yeah, well, I mean, you heard the story.
Okay, have
I
you-
remember hearing a little bit of it then,
Yeah.
and
it's worth
So-
retelling
so
because this was on a
for-
really early episode.
Yeah, so we'll start over. So our friend Jared, who we already mentioned, we were in a band.
Danley originally wanted to start a podcast with Jared and got stuck with me.
Yeah.
But he wears
That's
eyeliner.
not true. But that's not true, but he keeps bringing it up. It was late one night. We were coming home from work. Jared was driving his car in front of me. I was driving, and he got pulled over. This is right at... It doesn't matter. I was starting thinking
Yeah.
Beltline. It's Beltline, I think. It was the
Yeah,
corner.
people
of
don't know the geography of Dallas enough. Yeah.
I'm telling my mom.
Right.
She asked, I'm telling her the story. Everyone else, it's bonus.
Right.
So he gets pulled over. I continue driving, but I call in a tip.
An
And so-
anonymous tip.
Yeah, and then
fake tip, a poser
Yes.
tip.
and so I just go home, and then he shows up and he goes, "What happened?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, the cop took my card, and he was getting ready to run it, and all of a sudden he got a call and he threw it back at me and drove off." So that's the end of that story.
That is. We'll
knew about that.
There'll be more in the subscriber portion,
Yeah.
which we don't have. But if you want to subscribe, you can take our $1 bill, roll it up, and cram it right into your USB drive while you're watching this show, and we'll get it.
Yep, and it doesn't go through unless you smash the subscribe button
That's it.
for the algorithm.
So we wanted to know also, because we had a list of questions for y'all. One of them was, what is something that we broke whenever we were growing up that you wish you had back? Is there something that we broke that you wish you had back?
No, you weren't part of the ceiling thing, right? That was your brothers.
The ceiling thing.
I think we probably both have ceiling
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. That's
talk to me about the ceiling thing.
That's too vague.
They threw in. They're in high school. We had just had our ceilings done in our house.
Oh, I do know
and
what
they
this
got
is.
and they got the fryer out, the deep fryer.
Yeah, the granddaddy deep fryer.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And they threw an egg in, shell and all, to see what would happen. And so
They wanted
I
a
can tell you
hard-boiled-
what would happen.
Science experiment.
Yeah, hard-boiled
So,
fried egg.
so the youngest one is looking in to see what happens, and thank God he moved his head back just as the thing shot up and put a hole in my ceiling.
It exploded.
Yes, it did. It did explode and make a big old mess,
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
they
right.
were diligently cleaning before I got home.
I think your ceiling was more arrows.
Yes, there were arrows and there were darts in our wood paneling,
Yeah.
and then there was the light
probably not the end.
that was shot out.
There's probably more still.
The lamp. Were you there for that?
I was not. I'm
that
innocent
was-
of all of these
That
stories
was
so
that
far.
was William.
That was William.
It was
That
famously
was William.
Yep.
We asked him to turn the light off, and so
sleepover,
he took a
there's-
BB gun and shot the light out.
Yeah. He picks it up. He picks it up from across the room.
We were ready to
Shoots
go to
it
bed.
up.
I was like, William, we turn the light off. He already had the pistol because he loved it. It was just this little
Yeah.
little air pistol. And he just nailed it in one shot. And then we laughed hysterically and then went to sleep.
Gosh.
It was the best.
There was
Shout out to Will.
Yeah, there was an incident with a drumstick and Eric that I remember rather fondly. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, that was truly an accident.
Was it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, because I did it. It was,
Yeah.
I would say, I was like, yeah, it was hysterical. I thought it'd be funny. So there was a real quick drumstick, broke in half, sharpened. He asked for it. So I underhanded tossed it to him because he was far away. And it just went like a spear right into his leg.
It was just sticking right out of it.
Yeah.
No
Underhand
principal's
toss.
offices though. No principal office visit.
No, this
Yeah.
is, no. This was at the church.
Hospital.
And then he was he was freaking out so bad he was wandering around just kind of wobbling. Like, ah! I was like, no, stop. I wanted to pull it out, but he wouldn't let me touch it.
That makes
Dude,
sense.
I'll fix it.
You literally did
Emergency
that to him.
rooms.
Yeah.
Police officers.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
well,
you were on
we
a
had
first
plenty
name
of those.
basis with the people at the emergency room,
Yeah,
weren't you?
all you need is 3 boys to walk in, and they did. They called me by name, and I was like, "This is so embarrassing."
They were just like, "Hi, Mrs. Pinkard," as soon as she walked in. And like 2 of us would be all proud, and the other one's arm would be like in a direction an arm's not supposed to go.
Crazy, very active.
Because there
I
was
was in
always
a-
a good story behind whenever we were
I was in the emergency room one time with you.
Were you?
That's true. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So Danley was renting an apartment with the aforementioned Brandon and Jared, and we were playing them in racquetball and doubles, and we had just been demolishing them for like 2 weeks straight. And so then they made us change up partners, and then it was just draw after draw after draw. And Danley and I were like, "Fine, we're gonna go back. We're gonna be partners, and we're gonna play you 2 again. We're tired of drawing." So
Also, no
we're-
safety glasses.
Yeah, so we're warming up, and I left my safety glasses
You
outside.
already know where this is going.
And the ball came off of Danley's racket and right into my eye, and like my head flew backwards. And at first, I kind of blinked my eye a couple of
died
times.
laughing.
I did.
Until
Until I looked up, and like I was blinking a few times, and I could see, but my eyes started turning red, and Danley was immediately panicked.
I saw the whites very quickly. It was like in a cartoon or something. The red just started rising and rising and rising until it was just all red. And I was like, we need to go to the ER right now.
Yeah, so so we went back to y'all's apartment. We put some ice on it. My eyeball filled up with blood, and we're at the ER. The doctor there is talking to us about all kinds of different like, all right, can you see this? Can you see this? Like, close your eye. And we weren't going to say anything. And finally, after the last test, Danley's like white as a ghost. Like just no
I was
color
like,
in
I
him at all.
blinded my friend.
He looks at me and he goes, "All right, dude, I know you're not going to want to hear this, but we need to call your parents."
Yeah.
It's like, why? And he goes, "The doctor literally had his hand right in front of your nose and you could not see anything. This could be really bad. We need to call your parents." And so we called Dad. Because that is always the smarter move whenever we were in the emergency room.
When death is on the line for me.
Yeah, because Moms always want to know what happened. Dads are just like,
let's fix it.
Where are you?
Are you okay?
Okay, we're at this hospital. Are you dying? No, I will be there in 15 minutes. Great. Where moms want a lot more details, and all that came eventually, but it took like 2 weeks. I was crying blood for a couple of weeks. I still have the towel that we used in order to ice that. That's the one towel.
Just like Le Chiffre.
Yes.
Chiffre.
That's it.
Casino Royale reference.
But yeah, you were there. In the ER with Danley.
I do have one story.
Let's check this out.
That I
here
have
we
a
go.
question for.
Oh no.
Here we go.
Did you ever look through their things?
Oh, yes.
What the heck?
Well, you have to have your clothes put away because if I gave it to you to put them away, it was still going to be there.
Well, you're young.
We need some more.
You're young.
More sparkling cider.
You're male. Your brains have not developed.
Oh, right.
You're in high school.
Yep.
You're with William. No, I love William.
And JR and
That's where stuff starts to get
there's
James LeBounty and Corey.
There's some,
and Kyle Rogers.
Kyle.
By the way, praying for your bathroom issues, buddy.
Yeah. I only did this a couple of times, but would look through the cars to see what they were hiding. Of course, I'm thinking, looking for drugs, looking for
This could be really
alcohol, looking
Or-
for cigarettes.
bad. Or it could just be
Smoke
playfully funny, like a smoke grenade or something.
And
she's hung on to this for a really long time.
I find this.
Please tell me.
What?
Yeah.
What is that? Do you know what that is, Danley?
Danley?
What's
can
in
I
the
show
box?
it? Can I show
What's
it?
in
Are
the
you going to
box?
get kicked off of YouTube?
Maybe.
No.
We can
I
get a
don't-
second strike.
Not from showing a weapon.
I find this
What?
in the trunk of his car. Oh. William and I were out at Lake Grapevine, and we found this in the dirt. And here's the kicker.
How rusty.
Yeah, it's just 22. We were just going to find some bullets and shoot it. I mean,
Are you kidding me? Look how awesome
it's
this
a
is.
miracle. It's a miracle
You wanna
that they're
hold it?
alive.
No, just put it right down.
If they
pass it
had shot through this, it would have exploded in their everything. I had called the police.
You're like, it was not used in a murder.
It was not used in a murder. It
This
is
is the
not.
third time the police came to my
it's
house.
fine. Keep it if you want it. So I kept it. So my question is, I believed you.
Mm-hmm.
Is the story still accurate?
We did find it in Grapevine.
Where?
In the dirt.
In the dirt.
Okay.
Okay.
So you did find it at Lake Grapevine. You're not just now saying, "Oh no." The story is we found it in Grapevine at a different location.
On a dead body.
It was
Yeah.
It was in a grapevine.
It was stuck in one grapevine.
Somebody didn't have their gunslinger
Yeah.
skills in.
Yep.
Oh, wait, but they ran the serial number and they.
Yeah. So it wasn't
That's
like a
smart, man.
ditched weapon. It was just like somebody.
It could have been
was
ditched.
awesome.
It could have been
revolver.
ditched,
Yeah.
but you'd have to run ballistics.
I wish it wasn't all rusted.
It's completely rusted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing on that thing. Looks
But yeah,
like it'll work.
okay. So, hey,
That's
good
not-
prop.
Not bad. Not
Yeah,
bad.
well done.
One time my son found a gun.
Were you lying to me? I think that's a fair question.
It is.
Yeah, I think there were plenty of like items that brought about questions. So my mom one time found in one of my drawers that she was putting away some vitamins that somebody in my second grade class had given to me.
They weren't just vitamins.
It was muscle vitamins.
It wasn't
No.
it wasn't just that. There was a heart accelerant that was part of it, like an ephedra or something like that had look at that had an amphetamine of some kind in it,
Got it.
right? And so because she worked at the police department at the time, she asked a favor from one of the people that was in the PD with her to just see what these pills are that my second grader ended up in in his drawer. And myself and two of my friends each had to do a puppet show on the dangers of drug use to our second grade class, and that was our punishment.
I met his dad.
You met whose dad?
The kid that
son
gave
that-
him. He was a DEA officer,
Were,
right?
were you
FBI
very
agent.
clear? Were you very clear?
I was extremely clear.
Mm-hmm.
He just told me he had a bad son, and I was like, then that.
He said he's a bad son?
He did. He said he had a bad son, and I was like, what kind of father are you if you have a bad son?
Yeah.
Yes, but it would have caused great problems for you. We did have a nice little come to Jesus meeting too.
We did.
Anytime anyone offers you vitamins, you come
I am
show them to
pretty
mom
sure,
first.
Yeah, I am pretty
You know,
sure
you just
my
don't even
rear
take
end
them.
still stings from that spanking. There are times when I sit down and I was like, oh, don't take your vitamins.
If it's not Flintstones, the answer's no.
The answer's no.
It's funny that you
Would
said.
you pass that down, please?
Yeah.
Look at her eyes, because we used to. That's what they used. I had a niece that told me, when I have kids, I want to be able to discipline my kids with my eyes. And I said, what are you talking about? And she said, you can look at your kids, and there's a distinct difference in what they will do.
Yeah, that's the
Sorta.
truth. That is the truth.
Skills. Look at those skills.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, so who, in your motherly opinion, who is the best guest that we've had on the show, not named Leanne Morgan? Because we both know that y'all's favorite guest, hands down,
By the way,
was Leanne Morgan.
Real quick, did you see that she used your clip?
I did. Lucas sent it to me.
It's last time I checked was a couple days ago. It was 160,000 views.
Yeah, it's close to 200,000. Yeah,
of Lucas asking a question. My mom wants to know. What was the exact question? It was how to.
How do you make your daughter be nice to you?
Yeah, that one got a lot of attention.
I did. Well done.
Good question.
So, who's been your favorite guest on our show so far that's not Leanne Morgan?
Okay, so honestly, I can just tell you from the hearing afterwards, the one you just had is going to be my favorite, I think.
Nancy Piercy. Yeah.
But I haven't heard it yet, but I think that's going to be
I
my
haven't seen that one yet.
I
either.
surprisingly really enjoyed it. I've got a problem, by the way, with this whole thing that
Hi, Danley.
I think every episode that I critique myself and I should have done this better, and I do the silent assassin, which is from Troy. Shout out to Mental Management Systems, Troy Basham. But I'll be very critical of myself, and with this one, she was so smart. I felt like a giant dummy talking to her the whole time. And on the way home, I was just thinking, like, I didn't say anything. Like, I was convinced that I didn't say anything, and then I just sat there, and Lucas did all of the work, and Nancy was fantastic. But when we watched it, it was a great episode.
Yeah, she's really funny.
Amazing. Yeah, she's super smart, and she went with all of our dumb little hijinks too. Mm-hmm. So I'm with you.
Yeah, she knew who the Ninja Turtles were.
I really liked that one.
She informed us that bench pressing was not one of the spiritual gifts.
Mm-hmm. She agreed with Rick.
Yeah, she did. She called you an INT jerk and told me that I was an E something or other for sure. So, yeah, there were a lot of really funny things in the Nancy Piercy interview. And then afterwards, she gave us so much time. She talked to us for probably a half hour afterwards. Just asking how we enjoyed podcasting, whether or not her mic sounded good, what were some of the things that we were interested in, how we found out about her books, and on and on. And then some of the programs that we're doing at our church that, we wanted to ask her some questions about. She gave us just a ton of time extra to answer some really poignant questions that were specific for some of the ministries we have here.
You'll like that episode, Mom.
Yeah, she was really, really great. But we were both nervous about that, too, because of the subject matter. Because we were getting into...
the other half.
Yeah, because she talks a lot about some very sensitive issues, and with getting our first YouTube strike, the issues that she was talking about definitely had us kind of on alert of what was going on. But she just did a phenomenal job. So, Major, what about you? Who's been your favorite that's not named Leanne Morgan?
I think Stephen Mansfield.
Oh yeah.
I think he stands out.
Yeah, he's the other one that is way too smart for us to talk to.
All right, let's bring in the next round.
There've been so many, and I'm not going to be as good with the names as what all of y'all would be, but I think you had some very heart-warming, but also heartbreaking.
Oh yeah.
No, like Steve Ryder.
Steve Ryder.
Yeah, he's the
With
one that
his
comes to
wife?
mind when I think heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And then
Uncle Stevesy.
Mm-hmm.
and then you've had some that have just been so very bold and courageous just to stand up. And I mean, he couldn't have been any more popular than Noah in his time, when he was building the ark and everybody was making fun of him. And I don't recall.
You talking about Doug TenNapel?
Doug TenNapel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just.
He's awesome, but completely psychotic.
He is himself over and over and over. He's 100% himself.
Yep.
He does not care.
But to a degree, I mean, those are kind of the things that I admire about people is just taking a stand in what you truly believe in without being forceful, obviously. But
so this is a new segment. Tea time with Mom.
Tea time.
Yes.
It's tea time.
I'm just gonna pass.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, Doug was an interesting one, not just because of the way that he.
That's for you.
Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Wait, thank
You're
you, Kale.
so handsome.
You do. You look fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Kale Gibson, Twitch stream at Tornado Cage.
Tornado Cage.
Tornado Cage.
If you want to see the newest, coolest fork knife skins, look at Tornado Cage.
Here's it hot. I got it.
So Doug was really interesting because of all the things he's been involved in. So many of those things were big parts of our youth with some of the video games that he did. Neverhood, Earthworm Jim were some things that I know we played in the house and you got to hear. But his take on what it means to be a Christian creative, I thought was really, really unique.
Oh, sorry.
Especially as it related to, not being timid about his faith, because Doug is incredibly outspoken about his faith and now his politics. And there's actually, if we go back to, we've mentioned now for the third or fourth time that we've got a YouTube strike, that he talked to us about, what the appeal process looked like for us and how we can navigate some of that. So he's been a good friend. His new stuff is really cool, as well, the new comics and things that he's come out with. Yeah, Doug's stellar, and I think for both of us, we've kept up with a lot of the content and things that he's created as well lately.
Yeah.
So, Danley, tell us about our tea.
So this is a
Parisian?
No,
this isn't the Parisian tea.
This is actually one that Julia got from London.
Oh.
It's a British tea, which fits well with our segment of tea time with Mom.
Tea time with Mom. High tea with
and
Tammy
there's a little bit of honey so that we can get the mama bear out.
Okay.
Because we do have some news. We got our first YouTube strike.
Yeah, we've mentioned that a couple of times.
This happened yesterday.
It did. So at this point when this is airing, since it's going to be Mother's Day, it's been a couple of weeks since we got the YouTube strike. What were your first thoughts when you heard that your boys had a YouTube strike?
First off, would you like us to explain what that is? I don't know how familiar you are with YouTube.
I wasn't, but I just didn't like the word strike.
I don't either. It's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I equated it when Facebook takes down your post because it's offensive to them.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. With multiple strikes, you can get demonetized, which we're not monetized through them yet anyways.
No, we did bring both of our listeners on today. So,
but
who's listening?
Yeah, nobody will be listening
right now.
to this one.
We're recording it right now so that later you can listen to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what are your thoughts on us getting a strike?
Or were you just like, oh, that figures? It's about time.
My first thought was someone in their boldness offended someone.
Yeah.
That someone took a stand.
Which one of the someones do you feel like it probably was?
I didn't assume it was you guys.
She's assuming it was one of the guests.
One of the guests?
I thought it might have been one of the guests that
said
Jesus is the way.
So that's actually the same thought that we both had.
Yeah, that was initially it.
The interesting timing, and this is not a definitive statement. This is a isn't that interesting statement? The previous week, before we got our strike, we had Seth Dillon on from the Babylon Bee, the CEO of the Babylon Bee, who he just puts a crawl right in.
Yeah,
all of those New York Times, Snopes, Facebook. I'm trying to think all the things he told us about.
Yeah, well, there was so much in that interview just specifically about big tech censorship, and then the very next week after
we get a strike,
we aired seven full days of episodes with Seth Dillon, and the episode and then segments, and then on the first non-Seth Dillon thing, we got our strike, and so we were wondering whether or not that might have anything to do with it, and putting some of those things together. So
I was wondering what Mama Bears thought. Fans or no fans?
Well,
it's probably a dumb question.
It was
yeah.
I mean, obviously, we're going to support our kids, even in their booger-headedness decisions.
Take that, YouTube.
But I was curious as to why.
I don't know exactly.
Yeah, we got some.
We appealed it. We haven't heard back yet.
Yeah, so we'll be able to say more definitively later.
Unfortunately, sometimes it's a little vague. Like it said, harmful information, something along those lines.
Harmful content of some kind.
And it said there this was the episode, but there wasn't any kind of. This is the timestamp. It was this, So I don't know yet.
Yeah,
but
we should find out. We should find out soon.
I will say I don't know that either one of us took the expected route, where most people might go, "Oh no, oh man." We both went,
Yes, we got a YouTube strike. Somebody's heard of our show besides our moms.
Yeah, we're just like our heroes, Doug TenNapel, Steven Crowder, the people pushing on the
Seth Dillon and the people from the Babylon Bee. Yeah,
I'd love to be like those guys.
Yeah, it was cool. The response that we got was really funny. We got as soon as we put that we had a strike on YouTube, we said it on our Facebook page. Some of the people that we've been friends with, that we've actually hosted podcasts with and other stuff, they started following our YouTube channel before they hadn't seen anything that we post on YouTube. So there was part of it where we were like, oh, this is kind of funny. And another part where we were like, hey, wait a minute. We do a show with you every Friday. Is this the first time that you're actually listening to something that doesn't have you on it? Ricky Pope. Mm-hmm. But it was funny to get that first strike and to go from there. Well, we end all of our shows. Well, first, thank you, ladies, for being on tonight. We appreciate it. Happy Mother's Day to both of you. And,
also, don't forget to eat some of this cheese. It's fantastic.
We do end
cheese meats.
All of our shows with a segment that is inspired by Stephen Mansfield called Controlled Rowdiness. Now, if you guys are familiar with the show, I don't know, have you watched? Are you familiar with the Controlled Rowdiness segment, where we ask rapid-fire questions that are just to be answered whatever the first thing is that comes to the top of your head. We're going to be going back and forth. We need both moms to answer these questions as we go through it. Yeah, all right. We can start with Tammy. We'll answer them in the order of the mom nearest to the question asker. So when I ask a question, Tammy will answer first, and when you ask one,
first thing that pops in my head.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, so the first thing that pops here. Now, this isn't going to be one of those like psychological response things. Like, what do you think when I say elephant?
No, this is just for fun.
Yeah, this is just for fun. So, which toy from our childhood do you wish you could break?
If you had a time machine, you'd set it back to a certain time. You'd get out and you'd go break this toy, and then come back to the future.
Or it could be like a video game console or anything. Which item of ours from our childhood do you wish you could have broken?
It was probably a video game.
Yeah?
Yeah. I know y'all think I actually did break one of your brand new ones whenever I took it away because you weren't listening. And it didn't work after that, but I didn't do it. It truly was not my intent. I didn't do anything. I just set it in a drawer, and apparently,
A drawer full of water. What about you, Majin?
Williams BB gun.
You need a broken Williams BB gun? Yeah, for sure.
Not really. Yeah, I would agree with the video games.
Yeah. But as soon as you said that, I was like, that stinking airsoft gun that they would. It's still funny, those little green things. And
20 years later, they're still in your house. Yeah.
Yeah, Mrs. Rogers, I think, next door to us, Kyle's mom, had probably had the most interesting time because they each, of her 3 boys, they each had airsoft guns, especially the littlest one, Kurt.
Yeah.
Had airsoft guns hidden in every room in the house because his brothers would pick on him, and that was his defense. So he had at least one gun in every room hidden somewhere. So he
Smart
could get
kid.
To it. I know.
Yeah, he
I was
inspects
actually
houses now.
Yeah, I was very impressed with
Yeah,
that.
no joke.
He pops
he'd
on the
occasionally-
baseboard.
Eric would go
Flops.
start beating on him, and he'd pull a gun out, and I was like, oh, wow. Good job. Okay. So, Mrs. Pinkard.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Your question, your mama.
Your question, your
Oh, I
mom.
thought we were doing it. Okay, I misunderstood.
That's all right.
Mother. If you could retire to any country besides the United States, what would it be? Is it somewhere cold? Is it the mountains? Is it the beach?
There's too many.
Give me 2. You can decide later.
Politics aside, New Zealand.
Ooh, yeah. You afraid of how the sheep are going to vote?
Government's pretty intrusive in New Zealand.
They've had some special moments during
Yeah.
the COVID crisis.
I
yeah.
like New Zealand. That would be great. What about you?
I think we would have to say for my mom, because I think I know what this answer is, it can't be the continental United States.
So, it can't be the continental.
It can't be the continental. It can't be one of the lower 48.
Well, then it'd probably be Hawaii.
Yep. Yeah.
So if it was the continental, where would it be?
Don't put her in a box.
No telling. Probably where I am.
Probably Texas. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't really been to another. I've been to some beautiful states. I've never been out of the United States, but New Zealand and that little Australian area
I've never been to
has
New
always
Zealand.
been
Also, I'd love to sometime.
That's intriguing to me. But where there would be beautiful mountains and wildlife, and that's what I would like.
Would you live in Hobbiton?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah.
You'd be one of the Shire folk.
Heather found on Airbnb in Virginia. I don't know how she found it. We don't have plans to go to Virginia, but she found hobbit holes so you can
What?
rent. Yeah.
Sounds like we're making a trip to Virginia and going to go visit
Yeah,
our friend Dave Baker.
Dave
Yep,
Baker.
he's in that area. Okay. Of all of the things that we watched growing up, which did you hate the most? I'm going to give you some options. Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Lord of the Rings, or Ninja Turtles. Which of those did you hate the most that we watched whenever we were growing up?
Those didn't bother me so much. It's when you started putting into action what you had seen on Ninja Turtles that's concerning.
I don't even know what that means.
Kicking Thomas.
No, like being on the top bunk and then trying to literally swing from the ceiling fan, and then guess what happens when you fall?
Matt
ER.
ER.
Yeah,
Hello,
Matt
Mrs.
ended up
Pinker.
twisting his ankle.
Hi, it's us again, the Pinkards. We'll take room 3.
Like I said, we would come in proud every time. They were like, "What happened this time?" We jumped from the ceiling fan.
Yes. Or that would be a prerequisite before it. I would have this disclaimer. I will let you watch a show of Ninja Turtle, but everybody has to sit down. No one gets to interact. And then as soon as it was over, it was a ninja kick everywhere.
Is that why you didn't let us watch Ninja Turtles?
I don't remember why I didn't like them.
Because they were teenage?
I don't know.
Teenagers are such a bad influence.
I don't know. I don't remember why, but Lord of the Rings, I was there with you. I mean, we read the books and we were waiting for the movies to come out. And
I remember
Star
Dad
Wars.
got an advanced copy of Fellowship
Yes.
somehow.
Like from the 1940s? Like the book?
Fellowship? Advanced. Oh, the book? No, the movie.
Oh. He got an advanced copy of the Fellowship of the Ring movie.
Yeah.
Something.
Okay.
He got. I don't remember what it was.
I'm not sure where you're going with this.
Yeah.
We watched it on a road trip. I think it was to Red River, New Mexico or something. He had it on his
cool.
laptop, and I was like, oh my gosh.
He's connected.
Yeah. He's the best.
Those were good. Wait, did you answer yours? What was the one that
Ninja.
Ninja. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he wasn't allowed to watch the Ninja Turtles. Danley wasn't.
Did you watch it anyway, like he did with Beavis and Butthead? Or The Simpsons? Oh, man, I've walked in and they would have The Simpsons on. My head would blow up just like the mother.
See, I also didn't really watch The Simpsons until later.
Yeah, I would have it on. There was so much that I didn't understand, and now it just seems so, like, in light of everything else that's come to television, it seems fairly innocent, but I get that at the time it was pretty...
No, it still is not fairly innocent. It's just that the other stuff has become...
Yeah, I guess so. Everything else has come full circle.
It's because they did it all.
Yeah, it's true. Simpsons did it.
all.
Simpsons did it.
You got to up the ante now.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got nothing now.
All right.
This is a rare.
This is a rare occasion where
hold on. Well, you kill some time. I'm going to get a question right now.
Oh, goodness.
So, all right. Which of the people
I got it.
Okay, here we go. Go ahead, Dan.
What's the maddest you've ever been at your kids? It could be me. It could be more than likely the other two.
Yeah.
If I was guessing,
It could be one of your awful kids, or it could be one of us.
be me.
The only thing coming to mind is walking in and seeing on my beautiful,
I knew you were going to bring that up.
the darts still sticking in there.
Yeah.
My woodwork.
There was a dart incident.
William,
Thanks a lot,
And-
Billy.
I was involved.
you blamed William and he blamed you.
Yeah.
Naturally.
I think
No,
he may have he took the blame.
He took the blame.
He took the blame.
I was involved. I'm on the record now. I was involved.
You were involved?
Yes.
You owned up to the gun right away. Okay, William shot the light out.
He did.
William was there with the darts.
He was.
I don't know if he did it. Did he do it?
No darts?
Any of them?
Yeah.
All of
Okay.
them.
And the gun.
Yeah.
I think what we're hearing is that I'm Danley's
You
best
are
friend.
rising in my esteem.
Yeah.
All right. Well, when were you the most mad at us or at me?
At you? The most mad.
Yeah. boy, there's a spectrum, it sounds like, here for the most mad.
If you go into Excel and you sort largest to smallest, you just go the first line.
I think it was probably whenever I was in the kitchen downstairs doing dishes and I saw y'all jumping from the upstairs down on the trampoline on the back porch.
I don't remember this.
I do.
Yeah.
It stopped pretty abruptly.
It stopped very abruptly when you came out and pushed the trampoline.
Jumped down out of their window. Right.
They used to jump off the roof into the shallow end of the pool.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
No problems.
Yeah, well, that's good. The water really stopped the fall.
Okay, last question. What's the proudest you've ever been? See, so we start with the you get to throw a jab.
We're gonna
then
end on a high
we're
note.
gonna end on
End a
positive.
little sweet.
I think that moment at Julia's wedding, there was a wedding planner who did not know her stuff.
So this is a recent memory.
This is a
So
recent memory.
you haven't been proud of Danley until like December.
You said it was
time
November.
was last
that's right.
year.
No, you said the proudest, and one
Yeah.
that touched me the most. I was the mother of the bride, and traditionally, the mother of the bride has a specific place in line.
Mm-hmm.
She had it mixed, where she was honoring the mother of the groom. It's a place of honor. The mother of the bride is the closest to the bride. She's the last one. They're the ones that put on the party.
I had your back.
And I said, wait a minute, you've got it switched. She said, no, you're the one that starts the party. I said, and I didn't want to make a scene. And I said, well, I was like, no. I'm more old school. And he looked at me and he said, where do you want to be? And I felt heard. I appreciated the sensitivity that he had.
You've been waiting for this for 28 years? I was like, nah.
And he stood up in front of everybody and said,
Everyone, my mom's going last.
and that made me feel heard. That made me feel like he has in him the ability to see things.
Yeah.
And to hear things and to say, okay.
I do sometimes. Sometimes I'm
So,
thinking about video games.
I don't know if I ever told you that, but that really meant a lot to
you
me.
didn't,
and
but
and
that's cool.
appreciated that a lot.
That's cool. I appreciate that. All right.
Thank you.
What about you?
Tam.
There are lots of moments that I've had that but I think one of the ones that sticks out in my mind is when y'all were all younger, but I think y'all were like in high school, and you were talking to your siblings about, like apparently somebody was upset about some consequence that they had, and you were like, if you'll just listen to mom and dad and you'll just obey them, you'll see that you'll have much more freedom. You'll have freedom, because we never set curfews. Because my curfew was at midnight, and I was like, do you know how much trouble you can get into by the time you leave until midnight?
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
I can get in trouble before 6 p.m.
Right? And you just
exactly
left at 5:55? Yeah. So with them, it was, who are you going with? What do you think is a reasonable time? And what are you going to do? And then if anything changed, and we always told them, if you do something wrong and you tell on yourself, you won't be punished. But if I find out from somebody else that you did something wrong, you will be. Like, we would have talks. My daughter-in-law.
That was pretty much how it went.
I've heard this. You've told me this too before.
Yeah. If we told on ourselves, it was there were always consequences, right?
Right. So one would be discipline. One was going to be discipline, and now you're going to have you're probably going to be grounded or something.
Sore butt.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on what it was. Yeah.
So
that and the time that our house caught on fire and you were not at the mailbox like you were supposed to be, and I couldn't find you anywhere after I quit panicking and I saw that you were at our neighbor's house knocking on the door because the fire was too close to their kids' room.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, buddy.
Thanks very much.
I'm proud of you for that too.
I appreciate that. We didn't even know each other then.
Nope.
You're pretty proud of me.
Yes.
We started out our friendship with you already proud of me. You looked at me and you're like, I've been proud of you for about 7 years.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing up. Well, hey, moms, thanks very much for being on our show tonight. We have thoroughly enjoyed it. Y'all are the best.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mom-isode.
And for everybody watching, remember, this week is Mother's Day. Don't forget, get something nice for your mom. Treat your mom to a nice cheese plate and charcuteries.
And dark chocolate and pears and apples.
And all of the
and
above.
flowers. Daffodils.
Yes.
You
And
can't
sparkly.
go wrong.
So
Sparkly.
now,
Thank you very much.
now we need you guys to do what we ask all of our guests to do. We need you to look right there at that iPhone, and we need you to identify yourselves by saying, hi, I'm Lucas's mom, I'm Danley's mom, and this is why you should never listen to the Reverend and the Reprobate. And you can give a reason if you want to, or you can just look at the
Why do
thing
we
and say
not
it.
want people to listen to you?
Because it works really well. The same reason when you told us not to do something, we were like, I wonder if that could be pretty fun.
Yeah.
Don't throw me in that briar patch.
I wonder what's in that briar patch. What's in that briar patch that's so fun mom doesn't want us in there? Yeah, that's it's worked incredibly
It actually
well.
sets us apart a little bit.
Yeah.
We're still. Are we still on, or is this the?
No, yeah, we'll cut
Okay.
it or keep it. It just depends on how I feel next week.
Because I don't
when I'm
actually
editing
want to
it.
say the people should watch our show, but
Yeah, we
it
never do.
actually kind of works.
It does.
Well, they should watch this show.
They should watch
Because
this
you're
show.
because the two people that always watch your show are here.
I
That's true.
disagree. I have watched their shows, and I would advise people not to watch it.
There you go. Say that into the camera.
Say that. Yeah, look at the iPhone and say those things exactly.
I've heard things about them. I've heard that they're yummy. I don't see it. We're their parents. We know. I would not watch this. I do because I have to, but because I've seen it, I can say definitively, do not watch The Reverend and the Reprobate.
Take my advice. I'm Tammy Pinkard, Lucas Pinkard's mom. The Reverend and the Reprobate, pass it by. Don't watch it.
That's perfect.
Don't test her. You know what she did to the Lifeway lady.